This episode is not sponsored, but we encourage you to help support the small businesses, charities, and organisations that we mention.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Our Circle. I'm Rhiannon.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about OnlyFans. Dun, dun, dun. I have wanted to talk about this for a while because I think it's a really interesting topic. I just want to put it out there as well. We're very pro-choice and doing whatever you want to do. So we're pro-sex workers, all of that sort of stuff. So we are not here to hear any judgment. Thank you very much. And you won't be hearing that either. So just wanted to clarify what OnlyFans is for anyone who doesn't know. It's an internet content subscription service. It's primarily used for sex workers who do pornography or produce pornography, and it also hosts the work of other content creators such as physical fitness experts, musicians, and a lot of other things. We'll get into that. And content creators can earn money from users who subscribe to their content. So imagine like a hybrid of YouTube and Instagram where you pay for it, and if you are the person posting on those platforms, you get the money for posting on there. That's kind of basically how it works. The people who subscribe are called fans. It's only fans, and it's on a monthly basis as well as a one-time tips and pay-per-view feature. And it's reported to have 2 million content creators and around 130 million users as of August 2021.
Wow.
I'm kind of ashamed to say that I'm not a subscriber. I don't have any subscriptions on OnlyFans, but I'm not gonna lie, there are many people I would probably subscribe to. Just because I'm here for your content creation. I'm here to support.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think especially in terms of like you're saying about the sex worker side of things, and having watched some documentaries on the porn industry and how they don't get paid nearly as much as they should for the amount that their videos are getting spread everywhere. So I feel like I'm really a fan of OnlyFans because I feel like, I mean, obviously we'll get into it a little bit later about how it can be spread outside of that platform, but I like the idea of them being in control and being able to charge for their content which they're creating. I think that's a great idea, and that's how it should be. It's their form of work, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like if anyone's heard of Patreon. Patreon's
I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it is.
It's another service that a lot of YouTubers use because sometimes people don't make enough money from YouTube, or they don't feel like the views and the hours, things like they're putting into their content, they don't feel like they're getting paid what they're worth, basically, which, you know, more power to them. So they create a Patreon, and Patreon is very similar to OnlyFans in the sense that it's for patrons only, so people who pay a monthly fee, and in return they get a set amount of content, and a lot of Patreon users have different tiers, and I believe that works the exact same as OnlyFans. So say if you're paying £5 a month, you are getting access to X amount of content. If you pay this amount, you get this type of tier level, whatever you want to call it. And I believe that's the same way it works with OnlyFans, but maybe with a little bit more, what's the word, personalized content, things like that. So I guess one of the main things that we were saying, how it differs from traditional porn sites, is the fact that it's in the creator's ownership. I think it seems weird to say that that's a new thing, don't you think?
Because you think that's how it should be. But no,
I'm very pro porn. I enjoy porn, and some of the things that I watch online, in my opinion, they're not like mass produced, or if that's probably the wrong word, as in it's not being created by a big company. It's clearly like just a couple who have shot something in the bedroom or something like that. So it's like, okay, so are these entertainers are they getting the type of payment that they should? Because I'm thinking, well, I'm watching it and I can see that there are a lot of other people have viewed it. Are they making the right amount of money, or is OnlyFans probably going to be something that's better for them? And I think that maybe the problem, I think that in some ways we're a little bit at a loss here for not having someone who is on OnlyFans, like a content creator. We're not interviewing someone. Hopefully maybe we can down the line interview someone who is on that. But I'd like to know, is it easier or harder doing OnlyFans because of the fact that you do have to hope that someone's going to pay a subscription, whereas say like on Pornhub or something, you're at least going to be viewed, like, because anyone can have access to it. Do you know what I mean?
When you say harder, do you mean as in like you've got to be really confident to do that, or
I guess confident that you're going to be getting the views. I suppose you could say the same for Pornhub as well, or something like traditional porn sites, because I just think, well, if it's free, then it's more likely that you're going to see it, maybe like anyone can see it. Whereas if it's locked away, like relying on a subscription, how likely is it that someone's going to pay for it? That you
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, I suppose the proof is in the pudding in that so many people have blown up
Yeah,
on
you're right.
OnlyFans and made so much money, and you think, oh wow, okay, people will pay for this. Like this is a thing. Which, like you said, I was kind of skeptical. Like, wait, would someone like if I was to release content on OnlyFans, why would anyone pay for me? Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I genuinely think that because I'm like, well, yeah, they could go to Pornhub and get something for free. Like,
Yeah.
why would they pay to watch me?
Yeah,
So
so it's sort of like how do you know that's gonna, I suppose maybe you don't. Maybe you don't know how guaranteed
so yeah,
that
the
is.
risk, unless you have to do your research beforehand and be like, okay, this is what people clearly like, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
create stuff like this. I don't know.
I don't know. I also think some people have a clear, like their following is demanding it. So for example,
Yeah,
there are some people that I've watched on YouTube. I don't know. I mean, it's a bit creepy in some ways to know that so many people are commenting, "Oh, like, have you got an OnlyFans?" Like, it's like, okay, well,
right.
they clearly want to see more of them. But because that demand's there, they've actually realized, oh, I could actually be making more money. And someone that
Mm,
I watch on YouTube realized how much she was in demand for it and created an OnlyFans and managed to pay, like, get out of debt, get herself into a financially stable position, and if anything, really comfortable. And it seems to be something that she really enjoys. So it's like, okay, I guess that worked because she knew that she would have that support. But I wonder, some people who are looking at these successful OnlyFan, are they called artists? I don't know what they're called. Creators.
yeah,
If they're looking at them and like aspiring to be like, oh wow, they make all this money, and all that they've had to do is like take a bikini photo or do a couple of like feet shots sort of thing, and then they're
yeah.
not getting the same type of success. I'm not so sure what the conversion rate's like, I guess, for everyone. But the part that I was sort of questioning in my head was, even though we're saying, yay, they've got their own ownership, how much ownership do you actually have? Because even though it's on a subscription based thing,
They get 80%, don't they? The creators, and OnlyFans get 20%, first of all, money wise.
interesting. Oh, I
I
suppose that
think
makes
that's what I
sense if
read.
you're using someone's platform, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's also people leak stuff. So for example, there's content creators that very popular one, Corinna Kampf. She's like friends with the Vlog Squad, like David Dobrik
Mm.
stuff. She was one of those people who had a big like she was big in demand to start an OnlyFans, because I think she sort of teases her fans a bit, by being quite
She's hot.
sexual. And yeah, she's a hot girl. Good for her. She didn't have an OnlyFans, and so many people would always ask her to make one and stuff. And she then eventually said, yep, I'm going to do it. I think she made like $1 million on her first post, which I think is insane. I'm like, good for
Mm,
you.
yeah.
But I didn't subscribe or anything to her OnlyFans, but I went on her Twitter and I thought, out of interest, I wonder if there's any type of like trending thing to do with her. I typed in her name, and people had already like screenshotted things from her OnlyFans and put it onto Twitter. And I never realized how much of like a porn based thing Twitter is. If you start typing in certain people who are on OnlyFans or Pornhub or whatever, their stuff's
Mm.
all over it. And that's not even like, what's it called? Like locked or got any type of
Restrictions or
restriction
anything.
on it at all. Yeah.
But I
Um,
don't get that because I'm like, you're a subscriber who's paid for this content, so why would you just release it for everyone to see? Like, I don't get that. Like, it kind of defeats the object of the subscription for that person. Like, just surely you want the exclusive content, so why would you share that with other people?
it reminds me of like a very childish sort of thing of like young teenage boys where they just
Yeah.
want to show like whatever. I mean,
Look, my
this is, I
girlfriend
guess,
send me a nude. Like,
well,
look.
well, yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be doing that. I was more thinking like back in the day, if they found like a Playboy magazine, they wanted to
Oh,
share
right,
it with
yeah,
their
yeah,
friends.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, if anyone's bloody doing that, fucking report
Yeah,
them.
don't
You
do
do
that.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, don't be doing that. But it just sort of reminds me of that, like sort of sharing
Mm.
old, dirty, and I'd say dirty magazines. I'm doing the air quotes here because they're not dirty. Like a woman's body isn't dirty. Like let's get that out of everyone's vocabulary, please.
And if they
Yeah,
are, like, everyone's looking at them, so you're all dirty anyway,
yeah.
so
But yeah, I just sort of think, okay, well, then are people aware of that? Do you think? Like, do you think that people who are creating content on OnlyFans are aware that it's not as private as they think it is?
Surely you've got to, and this, if you can't go into it being naive, can you? You've got to know that you can screenshot, you can screen record. I don't know, again, because I don't have an account and I
Yeah.
don't subscribe to anyone. I don't know if there's any way you can do that on an app where it stops you from being able to do anything like that.
Yeah, because that's like
But
Netflix. Have you ever done that before? Because I've done it where if I'm watching Netflix, and it's not because I'm trying to illegally record the episode, by the way, just putting that out there. It's just because, say, like if there's a funny, for example, Jess and I love Grace and Frankie, and there was a time where there was like certain episodes where I'd be laughing my head off. I was like, oh, I just want to quickly, record that part and send it to her, and it would put a ban on. It would like come up with something being like, you cannot record like or screen
no.
record. Yeah, it stops you from it, and that's the same with other apps as well on your phone. So I wondered if
Okay.
maybe OnlyFans does that with screen recording at all, or if that's
If
something that
anyone
they might
knows.
implement, because I was thinking, well, how else are all these screenshots coming onto
Yeah.
Twitter for? So I don't know.
Yeah. Also,
um
I wanted to ask you, so how does it work in terms of like messaging people on OnlyFans? Like, is it that if you subscribe to a person, or is it again the tier system, depending on how much you pay, you're able to message the content creator?
from my understanding, it's the tier service. So if
Okay.
you've paid a certain amount, you can message the content creator and request certain things. They're more than capable of declining that request as well,
Yeah.
but they can request certain things maybe, and that's what they will
Because
then send you.
I was on Facebook the other day, the videos part. One came up where there was a girl who I think she's on OnlyFans. In the interview that she was recording, she was saying that something that's quite common that she gets requests for are men sending pictures of their dicks to her,
Mm.
and they're men with small dicks, and they want her to belittle them.
Yeah,
Like they
that's a
want
real
that how
it's a kink, isn't it?
it's so strange to me, but apparently it does it for them, like just to feel, what's the word
It's
when
like
you,
dominated, like a dominatrix sort of thing, isn't it?
yeah, but like just putting them down,
Mm.
like really does it. Yeah, really
Yeah,
strange.
well, again, this is the whole like don't want to yuck someone's yam on things, but I think it's not necessarily like encouraged to be really out there with your desires and stuff, but it's also not completely like no, like it's almost inclusive, let's say, I think, from the
Okay.
understanding that I have of it. There's a couple of other sort of maybe problematic parts to it as well. I mean, there always is when it's things like sex work, and
Hmm.
it's obviously like exploitation of different people. Maybe some people have been sort of put into this position not through a choice of their own, which obviously we don't support, but other ones
Mm.
are small content creators trying to make money, and people who've been trying to do a lot of their own content creation on porn sites and on OnlyFans, and then they get completely ignored, I guess we could say, when suddenly a celebrity decides to join. So there have been people like, I think Bella Thorne was one that you said before we
Yeah, she made
recorded.
1 million in 24 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and that upset a lot of content creators because they haven't made it anywhere near that and have been on it for a lot longer, have exposed themselves, been a lot more vulnerable. They've done more, way more than what Bella Thorne did. I think she might have only just done like maybe a bikini post.
Yeah, I think there was actually some controversy around that, and some of her subscribers had to be refunded because she promised that something she was releasing, content she was going to release, was nude. She described it
Right.
as nude, but she was still wearing underwear.
Okay. So it was almost
So,
like scamming,
well, yeah, just not delivering what she'd
false
promised.
advertisement.
Yeah, so there was controversy around her being on OnlyFans. I'm not sure if she's still on there. I don't know, but
I
I
do
get
feel
that. I
for them.
suppose if you've got exposure and you've got a huge following on other platforms, it must be a lot easier to sort of replicate that. And hence, like what you're saying about Corinna Kopf earlier, like her already having such a following on other social media platforms.
Definitely helps.
Yeah, you're basically bringing that community to another platform, aren't you? So
Yeah, and I don't personally think that that's wrong. I don't think it's wrong for a
no.
celebrity, because that's like when people got upset with Will Smith and The Rock joining YouTube. It's like they're a human, they're allowed to join that. But I also think like you just said, they're bringing their followers to a new platform, which could potentially shed light to a whole load of other content creators out there. I don't know if that's how
I
it
don't know how
works.
yeah, exactly. Like, do they have an algorithm type thing as well, where they're like, okay, if you like this person's content, you might like this person's, and it might actually lead them on to someone else. I don't think there's anything wrong per se in that, because it's not like they're stealing
Yeah.
potential, these followers might not have ever gone on to OnlyFans had it not been for those maybe bigger creators.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think it's given a lot of people, I think traditional porn creators, artists, I don't know what their actual, I should have found out the correct terminology, but stars, porn stars, I think it's given them a bit more ownership over themselves. And some people who've had things leaked of them before, I know Denise Richards, she was someone who traditionally like, and Electra, is it, what's her name? Carmen Electra, things like that, where they did a lot more sort of nudity things back in the day, but they probably wouldn't have been paid enough or whatever, and now they're reclaiming that side of them through OnlyFans. And I'm kind of like, yay, you, like getting to sort of have that moment to sort of correct that wrong, maybe, I guess. I think maybe it'll right that wrong. So I think that side's really interesting. There's also the side that's non-sexual content. So people who do yoga, or they might just be sitting eating a sandwich, or they might be posting photos of their feet. And that seems to really be to someone's liking. And I think that's quite interesting too, because it's sort of like, okay, is that then like with the Bella Thorne thing? Some people might put quite suggestive photos on there, like it's sort of like a YouTube banner before you're able to enter it, so it's almost like a curtain, if you like, before you've paid your entry fee. This is sort of like the advertisement of what their page is, and then when you subscribe, you then have access to it. Some of them, I think, make it seem like it's more of a sexual thing, and then when they open it, it goes into like them just eating a sandwich. Do you think that that's false advertisement? Something where you could, do you? Yeah.
I think like if you're there for, you know what, I'm horny and I wanna, this is what I'm here for on OnlyFans for. I think that's being led into a false, I think that's kind of very cheeky, because then you subscribe and you're like, oh, I don't want to see fully clothed sandwich eating person. That's not really what I'd pay, $10 a month for, or whatever it is.
I'd be very interested to know how much they make in comparison to like nudity and porn-based things. Like if they're still making that quite a lot.
I wonder if a lot of people are put off starting an OnlyFans account because of the stigma and the kind of what is attached to OnlyFans. I personally, my thoughts automatically go to the sexual accounts.
See,
that's
mine actually don't. I think my instinct, if someone says they're on OnlyFans, I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're making money. Like, because I'm thinking, to me, I just see it as such like a business thing. I don't know of many people who've gone in there just for the fun of it, or like for pleasure or whatever. And if they have, awesome. But I think the majority of people use it as a business opportunity to make money. And I'm just like, oh, cool. I wonder how they're doing on there, let alone what they're doing. Because in my head, they're probably trying every type of avenue on there, which is like good for them.
I just wonder if people have been put off because of that, and if so, that's a shame, because they could be making millions. We could be sat here, we could be making millions doing.
Okay, well then here's my $1 million question for you. Could you do it? Do you think that you could go on OnlyFans? And also, do you think that you could do porn?
Do you know what? I think the only thing sort of holding me back is my confidence in my body. If I felt like, I'm really secure in how I look, then I'd probably consider it. And I've also thought, do you have to show your face?
This is my own. That's literally the only thing that stops me.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
No, you don't. No, you don't. But I think then at that point, like, it could be someone else. You know what I mean? Like, how would you know that that is you?
That's fine. I don't want people to.
No,
I mean, I want the money, and I want the kind of empowerment of, oh yeah, that's me. I'm sexy.
Yeah.
But I don't want my face being leaked everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, and I know I bring this side of my life into it a lot, but being a mum as well, I don't like the idea of Mila going to school and someone saying something horrible to her, like, oh,
because your face was attached to it, sort of thing.
Yeah, like, oh, your mum's a slag, she's doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want her to be embarrassed, even though I would teach her, obviously, like, to, you
do in your power and
empowering, and it's you know, exactly, your choice, your body, your choice.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain that to kids who
Oh
are in
yeah, of
school,
course,
who are
of
in that
course.
environment. Do you know what I mean? That's something that would hold me back. But also just that idea that it's permanent and it's out there and it can be spread and it can be really negative. Like, I don't know. That's the only kind of thing that puts me off. What
It
about
always
you?
I think I could do it if my face wasn't in it. That's it.
Right.
And it fascinates me, actually, because you brought the motherhood side of it into it. There are some porn stars, like very well-known ones, who are mothers. They continue to put out porn content and with their partners as well, and they continue. And it's really interesting to me because I'm like, okay, cool. They really do have like that whole, we're going to be posting stuff with our kid, like online, being like, sorry, not porn stuff with their kid, like as in like, you know, like family photos. And then they have another account where it's them having
Yeah.
at it, you know, and it's just like,
And you know, and
interesting.
that okay, so there's like the whole MILF thing, but there's also the whole reality thing where it's like, okay, you're an everyday person too. You have a family, you're
Yeah.
still a human being. So I definitely see the appeal in that. And
Mm.
also, I love the idea of that. Like, you don't have, just because you're a mum doesn't mean you can't be sexy anymore.
Yeah,
Like, that's
absolutely. Still
fine. So,
desirable, still worth watching.
and it's a niche thing as well. Like, people like MILFs. Like,
Yeah.
that's a whole genre in itself, isn't it? So,
Do you think that you could ever do porn with Joe if he was into it?
yeah, I think so. But I'd have to like watch it back first and make sure it's like, you know, I don't know. I just really worry. I'd be self-conscious of the fact that I was being filmed and like the
Mm.
angles are they okay? Like,
Yeah, I'm just curious as to how many couples have sort of thought about it because there's I don't know if you've heard of it before. There's an app. I've already forgotten the name of the app, but it looks like a calculator, but it's not a calculator. It works as a
okay.
calculator on your phone, but if you actually put in a certain combination, it then
Ah,
unlocks and it's like, you know, photos that you might have taken together or by yourself and videos
okay.
that you might have filmed together. And I kind of wonder, oh, I want, you know, how many couples are sort of testing the waters out. Like one, just because I suppose it's like a, can you say it's kink or just like something that people like doing, like filming themselves and watching it back?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just the idea of like, they just like filming themselves like as if someone's watching and like pretending that they're on like a porn site or something. But
Yeah.
then how many of them actually watching? They're like, fuck, we look good. Like we should put this out there.
I think the money aspect of it is so appealing to people that,
Yeah.
you know, all this kind of embarrassment and whatever just goes out the window and they're like, why is it embarrassing? I'll be making a lot of money and looking good whilst doing it. And I think also I read as well online when doing a little bit of research before this episode that it's something crazy like a third more, like half more people joined OnlyFans during the pandemic, and that makes total sense, you know?
Really?
Yeah, like people are at home
Mm.
wanting content, but also people don't have as much job security. Like maybe that's
Yeah.
they decided to go down that avenue. They're like, right, okay, well, I don't know what's going on with my job and I'm on furlough and I've got all these things I need to be paying for. Why
Yeah.
not put
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
some content online and make money through that? I mean, why not?
I
More
mean, the
power to
cost of
them.
living crisis in London and the UK is going up.
Coming
Maybe
this
you're
winter, new account.
I just think it's something that I'm very open to. I think it's so interesting, and I'd love to speak to OnlyFans creators. I'd like to speak to porn stars. I really would. I'd
Mm.
love to go to the Pornhub awards. Have you seen that before?
I haven't. I
It's like the
haven't.
Grammys. Looks amazing. It's just, I think it's so interesting. I think there's a lot that goes into someone being vulnerable, whether it's one person or a million people watching you. I think it's a really brave thing to do, to be that open and vulnerable and
Mm,
just very open.
yeah.
The people who are taking it upon themselves to do this and be in this industry, I think they're very brave. And I don't know if I'm ever going to go down that avenue, but I'm not
Mm,
closed off to it. I just think it's just very interesting. I think anyone who's hustling in their own way to make money and putting themselves on the line is, you know, it's very admirable in my opinion.
yeah. More power to you.
Absolutely. Kind of far-fetched, but at the same time linking to people putting themselves out there and creating their own avenue. We wanted to dedicate this episode to a friend of ours. Jess, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about it.
Yes. So we've actually had this person on an episode before in season 1. My friend Alice, who was a teacher and did the episode on being a teacher. So I think it's in the past year, Alice set up her own Etsy shop where she makes her own handmade cards. So that could be for celebrations such as graduations or just a thank you card. They're really gorgeous. They're all done totally by hand, absolutely beautiful. So if you go on to Yellow Sunrise Cards on Etsy, that's the name of the Etsy shop, then you can go and support her content. And
we're all for supporting females, supporting their own business ventures.
It's not sexual and it's not a subscription, but please do go and support Alice because they're beautiful. We should all be supporting small businesses where we can.
Absolutely. So thanks for listening, everyone. Please let us know what your thoughts are of OnlyFans. If there's any demand for an Our Circle OnlyFans, let us know.
What content would you like?
And please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all those great things, and we'll see you for our next episode. Bye.
Bye.